Good morning, all of you. Is it audible?
Yes, ma'am.
So for CAT 2, you will have third module and fourth module. Okay. So CAT 2 portion will be third and fourth module. There will be one MBA program and 2 questions from module 3 and module 4. And then we are going to start module 5 today. So it is about coordination. So coordination in the sense when we take a distributed system, we are telling the communication is happening with respect to the processes and how the coordination is maintained between the processors. Okay. So that we are going to discuss in module 5. So the contents of module 5 is, so we will discuss related to the time and global states for the events, then how to synchronize the physical clocks, then 1 minute. So about how to synchronize the physical clocks, then we will discuss about the logical times and logical clocks and how the coordination and agreement they have is happening between the. Ma'am, mute yourself, ma'am. Okay, and we will discuss related to the mutual exclusion in distributed, that is distributed mutual exclusion and the election algorithms in distributed systems. Then consensus and some related problems to the consensus that also we will discuss. So coming to the time, so time it is an important and interesting issue, and it is also a quantity uh, which measures the happening of a certain event accurately. So this event has happened, so that we are able to measure using time. For example, we can take that e-commerce transaction time at banks. Okay, so in it the transactions that are happening. So these are also those particular events. Okay, they are measured at a particular time. This event has happened. Particular time, this amount has credited. This particular time, the amount has deposited. So time is very important measure. And algorithms depends upon the clock synchronization. So if we are using the timestamps for serializing the transaction for maintaining the data consistency. So this is one of the form of synchronization. We are using the timestamps so that we will get to know which transaction has happened at what time. So to which transaction we have to give priority. So this and all will happen. So based on the timestamps, and we can also have the synchronization. And we can synchronize the local clock with authoritative external source of time. Okay. And if you see the most accurate physical clock is the atomic oscillator clock. Okay. And it is international atomic time and coordinated universal time. It will be given to us. And let us assume if there are some four systems which is connected through the network. So this is how the distributed system will look like. So here there is a distributed system. There are some particular systems which is connected to the network. So the time that we want to see is some 4 o'clock. Okay, but all the systems will not uh, take exact 4 o'clock. It will be showing some little bit variation, okay, related to 4 o'clock. Correct. So here each node will maintain a physical clock. However, they will have a drift even after an accurate initial setting. If we are setting the initial clock in a proper manner, very accurately, precisely also, then also some drift will happen. Okay, so that we can say using parameter skew. So this is the skew will be measured by taking the difference between the readings of any two clocks. So if we take the readings between this clock and this clock, I can say some 2 minutes skew is there. And clock drift, this is the crystal based clock count time at a different rates. So oscillators will have a different frequency. So because of that, so drift will happen. And a drift rate, it is usually measured, it will measure the change in the offset per unit of time. If you take the ordinary quartz crystal clock, the drift will be 1 second per 11.6 days. So this much drift will be there. And how to synchronize the physical clocks. So we can perform external synchronization and internal synchronization. So external synchronization, if we take a clock Ci, okay, and it is synchronized to a common standard, then if we are taking the standard time S and the common clock Ci, so the difference between these two, the absolute difference, it should be less than some D for I equal to 1 to N, and for all real time T. Okay, and Ci and S, so this has to be, the difference has to be within the bound D. So the D you can set before itself. Okay. And then internal synchronization. So Ci is synchronized with one another to a known degree of accuracy here. So if you take some two system clocks Ci and Cj, so the difference between these two system clocks has to be less than T. So and for all real time T, okay, Ci agree with each other within this bound. So if this is happening, if some there is there, then within this bound, if it is there, then we say it is internally synchronized. So these are the two ways we can perform the synchronization and we can achieve synchronization. So simplest case of internal synchronization, if you see. So if we take a synchronous system, there will be bounds existing for clock drift rate, transmission delay, and time for computing. Okay, so in synchronous system, we will have the bounds, delays all. One process sends the time t on its local clock to the other message, to the other in a message queue. So if there is some two processes which are communicating, one process is sending message to another process. So it is sending the time also, M, and T also it is sending to receiver, and this is the sender. So it is sending both M and T to the receiver. And the receiver sets its clock to T plus T trans. So this is some transmission time it happens, right? So the receiver, he will just update the time as T trans. It doesn't matter whether the T is accurate or not. Okay, so if we take a synchronous system, the T trans, whatever we are considering, it should be in the range minimum to max. So the uncertainty also will be there. So that can be calculated as a difference of max and min. If the receiver sets the clock to be T plus min or T plus max, then the skew will be as much as U. If the receiver is setting the clock to T plus min plus max by 2, then the skew will be U by 2. If we consider in asynchronous system, there is no upper bounds, okay, maximum, only lower bound will be there. So how the clock synchronization will happen using a time server? Now I have the process here and there is a time server, and process is sending some message MR, and then the server is sending some message MT. So there is a method called Christian. Okay. So according to this method, the time server connected to a device receiving the signals from UTC. Upon the request, the server S supplies the time T according to its clock. So if process is requesting a clock, what is the time, then the server will set the time and it will send to it. So the algorithm is probabilistic here and it can achieve synchronization only if the round trip time are short compared with the required accuracy. If we take from T's point of view, the earliest time S could place the time in MT was minimum after P dispatch MR. So the latest was minimum before MT arrived at P. Okay. So the time of S by the time P is receiving the message empty will be in this range. T plus min, T plus T round minus min. So T round is the round trip time that is taken, and P can measure the round trip time. Then P should set the time as T plus T round by 2 for good estimation. And the width of this range it can become T round minus 2 min, or if it is we are setting the width as like, then the accuracy it can be plus or minus T round by 2 minus min. So the Christian algorithm, whatever we have discussed now, it suffers from the problem associated with single server, that single type server may be failed. Okay, you can see that we are communicating with single server. So Christian has suggested that to use a group of synchronized time servers. So the client, he will multicast a request to all the servers and use only the first, which is being replied. We have some group of servers. When the process is sending a message to group of servers, if any of the server is replying first, so then the communication will happen with that server. So if there is a faulty time server which is replying with the spurious time values, or an imposter time server with incorrect time. So we can get it whether the server is faulty or not based on the time values we are getting. That is about Christian method. Then we have Berkeley algorithm. So it is for internal synchronization. Okay, developed for collection of computers which is running as Berkeley Unix. So here we have a coordinator which is chosen to act as the master, and it periodically polls the other computers whose clocks has to be synchronized. Okay, so that is called a slave. So the coordinator has to be chosen for acting as the master, and from the computers also it has to poll which one will act as the slave. Then the slaves send back their clock values to it. Then the master will estimate the local clock times by observing the round trip time, which is similar to the distance method. And then it averages the values obtained, including its own. Now, instead of sending the updated current time back to other computers, here it will just take the uncertainty of the message transmission, and the master sets the amount by which individual slaves' clocks should adjust. So each slave, how much the clock it has to adjust, so that only will be given by this algorithm. So that is the advantage here. The master will take the fault tolerant average, namely a subset of clocks will be chosen, which is not different from one another by more than a specified time. The algorithm will eliminate the readings from faulty clocks. Such clocks will have an adverse effect if the average is taken. So we will follow this Christian and Berkeley algorithms. They are mainly used for intranets. So this network time protocol, it defines the time service for distributing the time information over the internet. Okay. So the clients across the internet has to be synchronized accurately to UTC so that we can perform using statistical technique. And it has to provide a reliable service that can survive lengthy losses of connectivity. So that will be done by NTP. So how it will provide is it will use the redundant servers and redundant paths between the server, and then clients will be resynchronized sufficiently frequently to offset rates of the drifts, and it will also provide the protection against interference with the time services. This is done by having the authentication mechanism by trusted sources. So if we take the example synchronization subnet, this is the subnet in NTP implementation. So here the arrows denote synchronization control and the numbers will denote the strata. So this is a hierarchical structure if we see. So here the primary servers, so this will be directly connected to the sign source, and secondary servers, they are synchronized with the primary server, and the third servers, they are synchronized with the secondary servers. And such a subnet, it can reconfigure as servers become reachable or failures are occurring. So the reconfiguration will happen in the subnet. Then NTP server. So this will be working in 3 modes: multicast mode, procedural mode, and symmetric mode. In multicast mode, it is used for high-speed LANs. One or more servers periodically, they will multicast the time to the servers. connected by LAN, which set their times assuming the small delay. It achieves low accuracy. And coming to the procedure call, it is similar to the Christian algorithm. One server will receive the request and replace with its timestamp. It will have higher accuracy compared to the multicast, and multicast is not supported here. And symmetric mode, it is used by the servers which are supplying the time in LAN, and by higher level of synchronization subnet, it gives highest accuracy. Here the pair of servers, they will be operating in a symmetric mode, which will be exchanging messages for a timing information. So the messages exchanged between a pair of NTP pairs. Here we have two servers, A and B. So the server A, it is sending message to M. So this is the timestamp at which that message has been started, and this is the timestamp the message has been received. And after some time, okay, some time T I minus 1, the message has been transferred to T. So in all the modes, the messages are delivered unreliably using UDP Internet Transport Protocol. In procedure call or symmetric mode, processes will exchange pairs of messages, and each message bears timestamps of recent message events and the local times when the previous NTP message between the pair was sent and received, and the local time when the current message was transmitted. The recipient of NTP message notes that the local time when it is receiving the message. So the local times has to be taken and it has to be noted. When it has been received, when it has been transmitted. So all those has to be considered. So if we consider some three processes, P1, P2, P3, and some, so there is an event here. Okay, so here you can see there is some events are happening A, B, E, C, D, F, and that. So at B, it is transferring some message M1 to C, and D is transferring some message to F. Okay, and this is the physical time that we are considering here. And in single process, events are ordered by local physical time. Since we cannot synchronize the physical clocks across distributed system, and because of that, we can't use physical time also for finding the order of pair of events. Okay, so we have to, in order to know which event has been happened before, which event has been done after. So for this, we need to consider the time. Physical time is not appropriate. So because of that, we will not use it. So instead of that, we will use logical time to order events which are happened at different modes. If we take some two simple points here, so if two events occurred at the same process, then they occurred in the order in which PI is observing them. So the process, the way it is observing those two events, so the order also will be defined there. Whenever a message is sent between the processes, the event of sending the message occurred before the event of receiving the message. So this has to be taken. So for ordering purpose, we will take this relation, that is happened before relation, which is also called as casual ordering. So Lamport in 1978, he has called that partial ordering by generalizing these two relationships that happened before the relation. So there are some three rules. So if there is existing a process Pi, if there is an event is happening E before E prime, okay. So then E also. So for all I, okay, if E prime is happening, E is happening before E prime, then we can say that E prime is happened after E. Okay. And for any message M, send of M will be before happened before receive M. And if there are existing some three events, E prime, E double prime, if E is happening before E prime and E prime is happening before E double prime, then we can say that E is happened before E double prime. And now by seeing this events, we can say some three processes, some events are happening. Okay, A is happened before B. Okay, and C is happened before D. Okay, for each process. For this process, we can say A is happened before B. And for this process, we can say C is happened before D. And similarly, in between these two processes, we can say B is happened before C and D is happened before F. And if we combine all this, A before happened before B, C happened before D. So all this, if we can say, then we can say that A is happened before F. Okay. Because from this, we can get that C is happened before F. Correct. And from this too, we can get that B is happened before F. And from this too, we can get that A is happened before F. So if A is not happening before E and E is not happening before A, then we can say that A and E are parallel. They are being executed concurrently. So Lamport, he has invented the logical clock Li, which is monotonically increasing the software counter. So force value need here no particular relation for any physical clock. So if we take a process Pi, it will have its own logical clock. Okay. So if we take that L logical clock 1, Li is incremented before each event is issued at process Pi. If we consider logical clock 1 here, for the next event, we're getting updated, become 2 plus 1 like that. And the LC2 logical clock 2 is if there is process Pi which is sending message M, it will piggyback the on M, the value also for Li. M and T both it will piggyback where T is our Li. And receiving MT, okay, the process Pj, it will compute the Lj, so that is logical clock for Pj, okay. So it will take the maximum of Lj and T and then applies LC1 before time stamping the event receive of M. So this is how logical clocks can be computed. And it can be easily shown that if E is happening before E prime, then logical clock of E will be less than a logical clock of E prime. However, the converse is not true. If L of E is less than L of E prime, then we cannot infer that E is happening before E prime because example B and E. Here you can see the logical clock for B will be high, correct, compared to E, but they are not happening before, okay. They are starting concurrently. Okay, how to solve this problem because this confusion will be there. So for that we have moved to vector clocks. So in Lamport clock, if L of E is less than L of E prime, we cannot conclude that E is happened before E prime. So vector clock, it will overcome the problem. So if we take n processes, which is array of n integers, each process will keep its own vector clock Vi for time stamping the events. So for vector clock 1, initially we will take V of ij is 0. That is for all vector for vector I. Okay, for some events. And DC2 just before Pi timestamps per event. So then we will update this Vi of I as Vi of I plus 1. And Pi, it will include the value T is Vi. In every message it is being sent because for Pi this is the vector clock, right? So it will be sending Vi also along with them. So when Pi is receiving a timestamp T in a message, it will set Vi of j as whether it is a maximum of Vi of j and T of j which has been received earlier for all j is to 1 to n, and then it will be performing the merge operation. So this is the vector timestamps for the events. Okay. So initially we can say that here only one event is happening. So if we take this is for process 1, 2, and 3. So it is happening in process 1. So it is 1, 0, 0 because this is the first event that is happening. And for the next event, so this vector clock has been updated. It is 2, 0, 0 now. And then when it is being sent, 2 here, but it is for process 2. So we are updating the vector clock here. Now it is 2, 1, 0. Then here the increment has to happen because it is the next event here. And then it is 2, 2, 0. Then if we consider here, it is 0, 0, 1. This is the first event that is happening in P3. So we are not updating this value. So if you consider both this one and this one, So this here already the event has been happened. Okay, 001. So for processor, it will be when the clock will be updated as repeat. Because already 2 it will be transferred, and for this it will be 1 plus 1. To compare the vector timestamps, we need to compare each bit. Concurrent events cannot find relationship. So drawback compared with the Lamport time, we have to take up an amount of storage and message payload which is proportional to the number of processes. I will stop here and I will discuss those in the next class. Ma, do you have any doubts in this?
No, ma'am.
It is basically about the clocks, how the synchronization is happening. Physical clocks we have discussed, Lamport logical clocks we have discussed, where the Lamport clock we are considering, and then vector clocks. Apart from that, Christian algorithm and Berkeley algorithm we have discussed. So only some 5 points has been covered. Mom, mute yourself. No? Ma, all of you answer your attendance. Neelkant,
Yes, ma'am.
Jignesh, Ayush,
Yes, ma'am.
Ishwar Reddy,
Yes, ma'am.
Abdullah Farhan, Bhavraj, Yash, Nivas,
Present, ma'am.
Parth,
Present, ma'am.
Nidhesh,
Present, ma'am.
Anirudh,
Present, ma'am.
Sairam,
Present, ma'am.
Srinath,
Yes, ma'am.
Saurabh,
Present, ma'am.
Somesh,
Present, ma'am.
Sai Nitin,
Present, ma'am.
Satyasri Narayanan,
Present, ma'am.
Sai Raghavendra,
Present, ma'am.
Harika Sai,
Present, ma'am.
Vaibhav, Sanjay,
Present, ma'am.
Ninam,
Present, ma'am.
Abhishek, Jitendra,
Present, ma'am.
Uday Surya,
Present, ma'am.
Subeksha,
Present, ma'am.
Dakshina,
Present, ma'am.
Manoj,
Present, ma'am.
Manav,
Present, ma'am.
Saravanan,
Present, ma'am.
Srivardhan,
Present, ma'am.
Rahul,
Present, ma'am.
Surya Sri Venkat, Sahil,
Present, ma'am.
Sangramjit,
Present, ma'am.
Vaibhav,
Present, ma'am.
Sai Pritham,
Present, ma'am.
Ankan Roy,
Yes, ma'am.
Karthik,
Present, ma'am.
Meghna Manoj,
Present, ma'am.
Isha Chawla,
Present, ma'am.
Balaji,
Present, ma'am.
Mohit,
Present, ma'am.
Shyam,
Present, ma'am.
Anagha Sriram,
Present, ma'am.
Renit,
Present, ma'am.
Avinash,
Present, ma'am.
Akash,
Present, ma'am.
Renita Astin,
Present, ma'am.
Meghna Manoj,
Present, ma'am.
Harish,
Present, ma'am.
Anupama,
Present, ma'am.
Balaji, Maharshi Roy,
Present, ma'am.
Harish,
Present, ma'am.
Jayan,
Present, ma'am.
Deepak Balaji,
Present, ma'am. Present, ma'am.
Sai Varun,
Present, ma'am.
Monisha,
Present, ma'am.
Ashwani Prasad,
Present, ma'am.
Ma'am,
Yash Patel. Yash Patel present, ma'am.
I will call my list to please answer me. Jignesh Chaudhary, Abdullah Farhan,
Present, ma'am.
Bhavraj, Vaibhav,
Vaibhav present, ma'am.
Abhishek,
Present, ma'am.
Surya Sri Venkat, Balaji R.
Present, ma'am.
One more time, see the absentees. Jignesh Chaudhary, Bhavraj, Surya Sri Venkat. Okay, so these are the absentees and submitting. So for CAT 2, you will have module 3 and 4. Okay, there is no module 5. What I discussed was module 5. Take some concepts, but only module 3 and module 5 we will have for CAT 2. Okay, ma. And for the next, okay, this Thursday and Wednesday. Okay, if there is college, if there are classes, okay, I am not going to have it. Okay, I am going to reschedule them. Okay, I will reschedule for next week some evening talk. Okay, ma'am. I will be on there. So all of you stay safe. If there are any doubts, you please ask me. Happy Dasra to all of you. Take care. If any doubts, stay here. Otherwise, you can leave the session. We will meet in the next session.
Thank you, ma'am.
So next,
Thank
there
you,
is
ma'am.
a Friday and a Thursday classes. I will reschedule Friday class. Okay.
Okay.